Alright gamers, I've got a few big videos cooking at the moment that need some more time, but I wanted to make sure that I still got something out for you guys this week. Gotta keep the streak alive after all. So I thought we could go a little more for fun, a little more creative, a little more outside of our usual wheelhouse for today's video. We've all been caught daydreaming about our two favorite games crossing over in some impossible mashup, and it's just fun to imagine what could be if I alone had control over the entire video game industry. It's also fun, if you're so inclined, to put pen to paper or stylus to tablet and bring these ideas to life for your own enjoyment. And that's exactly what we're doing today. For some context, not too long ago I came across some awesome pieces by an artist by the name of Lub, or Lube, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. You can find them on Twitter and ArtStation here. They went and remade the Elden Ring bosses in the Hollow Knight style, and I thought, wow, imagine if somebody did this for Monster Hunter. And then I thought, wait a second, I could do this for Monster Hunter. And that's how we got here. Over the last month, I took 6 monsters from Monster Hunter and I translated them into Hollow Knight bosses. I tried a few different rendering styles, came up with some new lore for each of them, which you'll see throughout the video, but sit back and enjoy, then let's have some fun with it. The first monster I did was none other than Malzeno. It just felt the most fitting, felt like it translated well. Malzeno in particular already has its vampire, Count Dracula aesthetic sort of going on, so it came together pretty quickly. It originally had a mouth and fangs, but I opted for the mouthless mask look to fit in with the other bugs in Hollow Knight. Its cape is slung over its shoulder, which was inspired by its wings, obscuring its nail and arm. The chest curios turned into a cravat, much like they were meant to be in the original design, and he has 2 shoulder pauldrons used to mimic a high collar. I played into Malzeno's claw tail as well, making it more bug-like with segments and mandibles, and finished it off with a couple of curios perched atop his hand. I also played around with his bloodening form, which I never got around to doing like line work and rendering for, but it sort of made him read too much like Grimm, which he kind of does already, so I left it for this video. And so we have Blood Knight Malzeno. Beyond the kingdom's edge is a land known as the Citadel, which is now ruled by the tyrant Malzeno. Once a noble knight, Malzeno and his master were unwilling to bend the knee to the Pale King, and thus the Citadel was left to rot without Hallownest's good graces. Now, as Hallownest itself crumbles, Malzeno laughs at its misfortune, coveting his inherited land and enacting violence upon those that dare trespass upon it. Malzeno was a lot of fun. It was one of those cases where you think up a drawing and then manage to actually execute it pretty much exactly how you wanted to, so I was really happy with that one. But on to the next one. Well, we couldn't do Malzeno without the other lords, so next up is Garangolm. Garangolm proved the trickiest to translate across and still keep the Hollow Knight vibes, I think. I ended up opting for a hulking husk not too different from those you see in the City of Tears, but instead centered in Greenpath. I gave him 2 huge gauntlets that were intended to read like they were made out of wood or something similar, and to mimic Garangolm's dual typing, he has one side covered in the infection and the other in plants and vines. I played around with the idea of using the Dream and Dream Now stuff, but I wasn't quite feeling it. This is Forgotten Husk Garangolm. Wandering the roads of Greenpath, Garangolm was once a noble lord and a great warrior, though those times have long since passed. Names and titles mean little to the mindless creatures that roam the dense foliage alongside him, though his sheer size forces them to keep their distance. Now, as the infection begins to take over his mind, he must focus all of his strength to stave off the madness that threatens to consume him, a battle that he is losing as the days go by. My interpretation of Garangolm is pretty cool, I think, but it could stand to have some reworks here and there, particularly in the head shape. I don't quite like it that much, but maybe I'll revisit it in the future sometime. And the third lord is, of course, Lunagaron. This one came together pretty quickly. I played around with the idea of a mantis due to Lunagaron's claws, and a moth to play with the lunar nighttime aesthetic of a werewolf, but ultimately settled on a creepy crawly out of Deep Nest. Mainly based on the Garpede and the other wormy guys you find down there, this gave me the ability to give it the blue plating on its back, big red claws, eyes and fangs, and a tail. I even snuck in some ears as spikes on the head, to give it a more wolf-like look. This is Shadow Assassin Lunagaron. A skilled and stealthy assassin from the darkest corner of Deep Nest, Lunagaron strikes with precision and conviction. She crawled out of the shadows and set out to find another who may match her expertise with a blade. Her journey brought her to the Colosseum of Fools, which she was promptly banned from due to her excessive violence. She now roams the kingdom's edge in search of her next challenger, howling in the darkness each and every night. As I said, Lunagaron came together pretty quickly. I quite like how it turned out. It's not super detailed though, maybe looks a bit too much of a generic sort of enemy, but I still like it. Maybe I'll, again, touch it up in the future sometime. Okay, so after doing the 3 Lords of Elgato, I wanted to get a little more lighthearted, and I also wanted to do a sort of Dark Souls duo boss style of fight, so the crabs were a clear fit. For Daimyo and Shogun, the idea was to make a duo fight that was sort of like Ornstein and Smo, one big slow heavy boy and another small fast guy. Daimyo came together really quickly, a round huggable guy with a big shield to emulate its pincers, and a big lance-like nail as a callback to the monoblast horn on its shell. Shogun took way longer, and its shell didn't really play into it too much in the final design. Instead, I went for a fast-moving, dual-wielding crabman, designed to sort of contrast against Daimyo. These are the Carapace Knights, Daimyo and Shogun. Daimyo and Shogun began their story as circus performers, masters of the trapeze as they toured Hallownest. As the kingdom began to collapse, however, they had to find other ways to make ends meet. As they scavenged and collected all kinds of things throughout the kingdom, they grew enamored by the weapons and armaments other bugs fought with. With so much fighting, and with so many bugs around calling themselves knights, who's to say the brothers couldn't be knights as well? I think these guys complement each other pretty well. I tried a bit of a different rendering style for them, and I think they turned out nicely. They probably need a little bit of a tune-up, a little bit more polish, but I think they're pretty cool. And now for the grand finale, my personal favourite. Since I did Malzeno, I figured I had to do Magnamalo as well, and Scorned Magnamalo is just cooler Magnamalo, so yeah. I thought about this one for a bit, considered sort of making him just a samurai bug, but I wanted to try something more fitting for Hallownest, and then I remembered the Nail Masters. I decided I wanted to essentially make a 4th evil Nail Master with Magnamalo as the inspiration. A Nail Master that's fallen from grace, I suppose. I started with the basic shape of the Nail Masters in a cool pose, before giving it a few traits befitting of Scorned Magnamalo. A scarred eye full of infection, the broken crest, a great nail split in half, a shoulder guard and chest armor similar to the armor in Sunbreak, and an overall more purple color scheme. I'm really happy with the way this one came out, and the cherry on top was that Magnamalo's name ends in an O, like all the other Nail Masters, so that made the lore make a little bit more sense as well. This is Scorned Nail Master Magnamalo. Brother to Mato, Shio, and Oro, Malo was trained by the great nail sage Sly just as they were. As he grew stronger, he secretly coveted power, and sought to take the great nail arts for himself and himself alone. When the day came for them to be confirmed as Nail Masters, Malo instead took up his blade and challenged his brothers, his heart full of greed and hate. Far more powerful than any of them had thought him to be, he defeated them. Seeing the monster Malo had become, Sly cut him down and put a stop to his rampage. Heartbroken, the brothers vowed to never again speak his name and continued their journey without him. Unbeknownst to them, or even to Sly, Malo did not die that day. His unyielding rage kept him alive, and he slunk into the shadows to tend to his wounds. He found power once more with the infection that spreads throughout Hallownest, wielding it as a nail art of his own design. Now with the moniker Magnamalo, he bides his time until the moment is right, and he can take his revenge on his brothers and former master. And yeah, that's sort of it for the, 5 designs, 6 monsters in total that I put together over the last month. This is just a bit of a hobby, but I thought why not showcase it as a fun little video for the channel whilst I get some bigger projects rolling. I hope you liked this video, guys. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite design was, and if you'd like to see another video like this in the future. But yeah, that sort of does it for this video. I'll catch you on the next one, guys. See ya.